Welcome back. Welcome back. Once again, this is Rod Powell, and you are tuned in to the You Should Get a License podcast edition, your number one source for information, education, and inspiration on the most underrated career opportunity in business today. That's a career in the financial services and in the insurance industry. Today, we have someone on the show who is tried and true, who is proven. They say the proof is in the pudding. The proof is definitely there. He is a longtime veteran of the space, been around, a couple of decades, a wealth of knowledge, wealth of information, works in the benefit space, which, for those that know me personally is near and dear to my heart, and has grown a successful business, over the years, coming out of Detroit, Michigan, actually a friend, of the podcast by some other associations as well. I want to welcome the president and CEO of Benefit Solutions, LLC, Mr. Gerald Scruggs, Senior. How you doing, sir?
Excellent, Rod. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
You're much too kind with your words.
hey, look, we got to call it like we see it,
Amen.
Here, we want to bring, the best and brightest people who can share information, share insight, share wisdom, that those who are entering this space who might either be considering a career or who might be new to the industry can kind of get some real talk, really hear it from the people who've been there, done that, So appreciate your time and appreciate you being on. As we get started, I really want to just talk a little bit about what you do. Before we went live, we were talking a little bit about PEOs and you're a benefits concierge. So I would love for you to just kind of give our audience just kind of a description of what market segment and what role you play in this industry on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, I'm gonna tell you, the term concierge dropped in my spirit last year. Think about this. If you look like a well-traveled, well-educated, well-groomed man, and I'm sure you've been to some nicer hotels in your day. And if you go to the front counter, you need something that's not quite on the menu, so to speak, a specialty type item. And what is the first thing that the lady even the manager's gonna say? You need to go see the concierge.
Right.
Okay, and then you go to the concierge and he can either pick up the phone, he either knows directly how to get it for you, or he knows a guy, or he knows a guy who knows a guy. Okay, so this phrase came to me because, like I say, benefits is near and dear to you, and it's near and dear to my heart as well. Because again, like I say, working with my buddy Kareem, we started out in the benefits arena, but we've evolved over the years in terms of now lately, starting to expand into my retirement, financial services, and I'll go a little bit deeper into it a little later, but my mantra mission right now is creating tax-free, showing people how to create a tax-free retirement income, but mostly creating generational wealth. That is the major thing. It came to me when I had a brand new granddaughter. In fact, she'll be turning 1 year old tomorrow, the 10th.
Congratulations.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And so anyway, I started out and did a whole life policy for her, last year. I said, well, I want to make sure to start building some money from a girl, get a policy. And the best thing I did was a whole life, something guaranteed, la, 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 la. But then a buddy of mine introduced me to Index Universal Lives. Now, I knew of them before, but I did not get into the true meat. And I had a guy who was doing it because, again, I had that benefits mentality. All I wanted to do was go into schools and write up teachers. Hey, we got a disability plan for you. We got an accident. We got a But you want to put some life insurance your husband? We can go up to $50,000 with no signature.
Guaranteed issue.
And that was it.
Right.
And so, but then that hit me when I did that, and so I did an illustration when I compared about the money she'd have at, like say 20, college age, 30, 40, 50. I'm like, wait a minute, this is, the whole life might have given her, 40,000 at age 20, but then I'm looking at this UL we did, she could have 125,000. And I know I graduated from school a little while ago, but last time I checked, 125 is a lot more than 40. So I'm like, shoot, let me get rid of this whole life. And I put my baby in the UL. And then when I looked at the full illustration after we laid out the cash, my son and I putting into it, I said, by the time she's 48, she's going to have like $1.3 million. Tax-free money. Keyword, let me tell you in French, tax-free. And Russian, tax-free,
Right.
and Mandarin Chinese, tax-free. So the term, then all of a sudden, like I said, it dropped in my spirit. I just created generational wealth. It just hit me. And then it was like, okay, I got to tell everybody this. I got to do this. I still do, if you call me, need a disability, life insurance, I take care of teachers. We got several other groups, Kareem and I still take care of them. But right now, my focus has really been on now helping people create their future. Because I've gotten up in the years a little bit, I look back, damn, where did I get this information 20 years ago? What I couldn't have done for myself. Now, my wife and I are not starving by any means. We take once a quarter, we going on some international trip. My wife's a retired teacher. In fact, she's one of my former clients, as a matter of fact. Show you how good my service is.
That's right.
But anyway, she's always planning trips and stuff. So she's a retired teacher. And like I say, we ain't starving by no means, but I just think about if I had this same knowledge 20 years ago, what I could have done, the lump of money I could have had just sitting here and ready to take care of my children, my children's grandchildren, my children's children. Because as you well know, it tells you in the Bible, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That's so right. It ain't about just taking care of your immediate family. You should stretch out these things several generations, because if you look at when I did a financial seminar a little while ago, came to me one of the first things you asked the audience. I said, we all heard of Henry Ford, right? Yeah. Man been dead close to 100 years, right? And his family, yet they still own the Detroit Lions, Ford Motor Company. I mean, the broke people in the family are millionaires. The not so broke, they like close to billionaires. So, but again, that's generational wealth. This man started something over 100 years ago. His family is still eating off that elephant today. And this is what I'm looking at, especially among our people, breaking that curse of generational poverty. We'll run out and buy. I got a nephew now. He bragged about how he bought a pair of $150 baby Jordans for his new grandbaby. I'm trying to say, nephew, let me talk to you. Let's set aside $100 a month. Brother working at Chrysler now, so he the big three. He ain't broke. I said, let's take this and get this for your grandchild, so she can have a college education paid for. When she get her start a family, she's got $200,000-$300,000 sitting there. Okay, she want to go buy a house. She's got that 20, 25, 30% down payment. Okay, not have to do a payday loan, because another time at the same time. Speaking of, what really hit me, I happened to see on the news at the same time I did this thing for my granddaughter, and it dropped in my spirit. I saw them, they were talking about payday loans. There was this, God bless this poor woman, her car broke down. $750 repair. Okay, she had to take out 3 payday loans to get the money to get the car fixed, because this was her only mode of public transportation. She worked out in the suburbs, so it ain't like she could just catch an Uber, catch a cab, catch a friend, bus, ride with a friend. But still, here we were almost a year later, she's still paying back those loans. Mm-hmm. And I said, this is why this has to stop. Mm-hmm. As opposed to somebody who, okay, the car broke down. Okay, which credit card am I put it on? Or let me write a check.
It boils down to education. It boils down. I think it's, I think it's really just profound, for you to say, hey, starting in employee benefits and now making the transition into, financial services and I'll say legacy planning, financial education, because it really speaks to the different paths and roads that you can take in this business. You say, hey, I wish I'd gotten this 20 years ago. And the reality is, look, coming into, worksite benefits on the supplemental health side, voluntary health side, going into, more administrative services. I know you do some work with PEOs and such, which I want to kind of expand on so that folks have an understanding of what that looks like. But to say, hey, look, you may start here and you may end up here, or just because you're working here doesn't mean you can't work here. Just because you're in worksite doesn't mean that you can't build a business inside of, financial services with, index life and building, tax-free retirement and wealth strategies and be your own banking and learning those strategies. Doesn't mean you can't go on a property and casualty and explore that end as well. I really love that. What are your thoughts on, professionals in the business really being diversified in that way?
I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna sum this up in one word. When you hit it, you hit the nail on them, because another friend of Kareem, mutual friend of ours, Kareem, we used to work with. He was doing the retirement for when I was in the work side, again running. That was how we cut our teeth in the schools. You know, we made a nice $250,000, $300,000 a year. Have fun, going on trips. Life is good. But you know what? When I thought back on it, what saddened my spirit and my soul, I can't tell you how many clients, who came up to me. You know, Mrs. Scruggs, thank you very much. Can my cousin get some disability? Or they got this and that health. Can he get some life insurance? And see, the company we were using was, God bless them, I love Colonial. They done, bought houses, cars, put them on trips, paid for college education. I'm thankful, but it's not the silver bullet or the secret sauce. They were if you didn't fit inside this narrow box of theirs, being a payroll deducted group, the group had to have so many people, you got to do so many premium. Sorry, Aunt can't help you. They did not teach us about how to think outside the box, be able to bring just about be able to get these same services to everybody. And not only did, first and foremost, I think of the hundreds of thousands of people I could not help. We didn't even talk about the hundreds of thousands of dollars I could not make. And that's it. There's got to be more to it than this. And then that's when I started learning the power of the license. And I like your mantra, which you have on your company, your podcast, your title, your LinkedIn page. About the license, the power of it. And like you said, it allows for this diversity. And because like I say, I had a couple friends who tried to introduce me to IL when I came back from California, and that's another story. I'm still with Colonial. And I was like, yeah, okay. It was a means to make some money. I had the clients. He had the so-called knowledge. I would set up the meeting at the school, at the luncheon, at the schools, because I had a relationship with the principals. So I could call them up. Hey, Rod, hey, this is Gerald here. Can I be here on your staff meeting? And anybody who knows anything about teachers, staff meetings, it's the holy grail. You don't invade a principal staff meeting. Right. So you got to have a serious VIP card or some juice to get in there.
You better bring something.
Oh, serious. And so because a lot of them were my clients, and I didn't help them, like I said, with the supplement, but even within that world, knowing how to work it. It wasn't about just writing an app. We're talking about service. And because I had a reputation for helping these people get paid on their claims, and it's something my father told me, he said, people usually don't forget people who either helped them, either fed them or helped them get money. And one of the things we used to do, our strategy was we would go into schools and have a luncheon. They would come down the halls. We'd have this little piece of paper, fill out this little slip. I'm going to be here all week long. And they would gladly fill it out. We had attraction of, offer a gift card, $50 gift card. And then when you find the money for people, it's like they love you. Now we done found some money. Oh, by the way, I noticed, Mrs. Rod, you don't have that cancer policy. Don't you need that for you and your family? Yeah, I think I need to get that. Why we had to give me some extra life insurance too. So that was how, and it just trickled and it's just domino. And so we were able to go in and take care of a lot of people. But then, like I said, and I didn't really want to get into it. I let my buddy tell it. But now I started learning firsthand. Like I said, my granddaughter, she didn't know it at the time, her little 4-month-old self at that time, opened, but it just exploded my mind. It's like, what the heck am I doing? So what I shied away from, now I'm diving all in on it. Like I said, I still do. I take care of me and Kareem's group. So I'm writing up somebody call, no problem. I'll go write you up your work site, voluntary. I got individual company. I do a lot of life insurance, not only, with a final expense, people who couldn't get anything from before. When I was taught and raised, we have said jokingly, we were brainwashed, but we were taught to think of this one thing. This is all you do. Don't even start thinking about that. If a person came and talking about retirement, okay, I had a partner. I would hand it off to him, just like he did retirement. He had somebody that wanted voluntary. He would hand it off to me. We do the 65-35 split. Everybody happy, okay? But we still doing what we do. But like I said, this really hit me. And like I said, when I saw so many things about the lady in that article in the news, almost made me cry. And I said, this is important. This has got to be done. Our people, like I said, the other scripture, our people perish for lack of knowledge. Not because we didn't have enough red bottom shoes, not because we didn't have enough $400 eyelashes, but we perish for lack of knowledge. Okay.
So it boils down to the education.
And I'm just trying to get out. Like I said, for me, I couldn't, a little later stage of the game, I can't personally benefit from it, but I can help my son. Unfortunately, because he has a health issue, but I did get him set up with an index annuity. So the same basic principles where he can't lose the money, but we can bypass the help. Now, the granddaughter won't have to pay the taxes, he will, but that's okay. He still got guaranteed growth of money. That's better than having nothing. So if a situation comes up, you're not sitting here calling, Dad, can I borrow some money to pay my rent? Which I did get a call too, by the way. Yeah, no.
You got
So
10% a year with no penalty during the contract.
right, exactly. So like I said, this is and then that really just helped me. And then, like I said, now when you start talking about Tryon, that's another entity of something that all business owners, I don't care if it's a mom and pop shop with nobody but mom and pop, to a Fortune 500 company, all of them have one thing in common. I don't care how big or lot. Payroll. It starts with payroll. But now you got to pay the people. Even you got to pay yourself. But from there, there's a lot of, just picture a trunk of a tree, but there's a ton of branches. You got to offer some kind of benefit. You got to do incentives for the people to stay. Within this, you got to hire employees. Okay, Joe might be the best worker in the world, but deep down, Joe might have a little larceny in him and a devious spirit. Joe just looking to come in, do the accidental slip and fall, throw some grease on the floor, he fell, boom, he's suing you. Right, next thing you know, Joe's name is on the front of his building right next to yours because he done owned part of it too, because he done sued your butt. So, but again, it teaches you practice about not only just help you hiring people, but how to properly hire people. Also, put something as simple as putting a handbook in. Do you have a hand? Because my buddy, when I was talking to him the other day, he said, Gerald, do you realize COVID changed everything? He said, now, remember when COVID hit, a lot of companies switched to virtual learning. Okay, Mr. Rod, we're going to give you a laptop so you can work from home. Now, this is a real case scenario. It was a lady. She took the laptop home. Then when it eased up, she came back to the building, but little they know a virus had infected in her computer. And when she got back and logged on to the internet, the network, and the job, everything spread to all this. And so, of course, they accused her. Oh, no, I didn't, and they had threatened her. We're going to, this and that. You know how much damage you done caused us, millions, hundreds of thousands of dollars. We got to redo this and that. And she's swearing up and down, no, I didn't, da. And then caught her. She said, the only person home is my daughter. And Then, of course, now two things happened. She had to retract these threats she put against the owners of the company, but also she found out her 11-year-old child was looking at porn on her computer.
Ooh, wow.
Yes. Risk all that came about is that. But see, another thing, the company didn't have handbooks. So he said another segment of people, they've got the laptops and they're like, I don't think I want to work for you anymore. I'm not giving it back. And then the first thing Tryon said they did, well, did you put in the handbook that they have to give them back after COVID? No. What about the cell phone? No. They said they got two cases where two employers gave the employees cars. They can't get the cars back. Why? Because it's nowhere in writing. Rod, you forgot to put in the handbook that I got to give you back this car. So guess what? I'm driving around in no tire in this company car that's owned by Rod. You paying the note.
Listen.
So again, that another entity. So again, I'm a broker for them, and this ties in. So when we talking about speaking to a business owner, it ain't about coming and trying to sell accident plan. Yes, we're gonna do that too. But we're talking about we want to take care of the whole thing for you.
That's right.
Okay, we want to cover you from all your liability, cover your employees so their family can be covered. They got little son, little Ray, who breaks his leg. This boy trip over air. Simple thing. You got an accident plan for him? No, I don't. Okay, but you're gonna have some costs because no health insurance covers everything. So again, they come in the fact of allowing me to cover just about anything, and I've got relationships with people who PNC, stuff like that. And again, that is one of the areas. PNC, buddy of mine do Medicare. I know enough to be dangerous. You call me, Gerald. I had a client of mine just 2 weeks ago during Christmas time, lady who owns a shop where I brought my wife's Christmas gift at. And she said, Mr. Scruggs, you still doing shit? I said, yeah, of course I am. She said, well, my time for my business renewal insurance is coming up. Can you help me? Sure can. So got home, called my girl who takes care of my condo and our cars. I got a client for you, She, a sister, she's been in business 27 years, sterling record, no complaints against her whatsoever. She knows it business inside and out. And she got, and in a matter of minutes, she found a better policy that had far better coverage and saved her $750 a month.
Look, it's all about having the resources at the end
Exactly.
of the day.
And it wasn't about me, you know, getting paid enough. Like, it was about just being able to help my client. And so the client, of course, she called me, said, Gerald, she was profusely grateful. And I'm like, this is why we get in this business.
Value-added services. You know, this is something that's very important for new agents coming into the business to look at. Yes, you know, you may want to be diversified in what you can do, and you may have the ability to be as well. But if you find that you have someone who is a specialist in an area where maybe you're shoring up knowledge or you're not as tight, you know, that's a value-added service that you're offering to your client to say, hey, look, by your relationship with me, I'm going to connect you with another person who is going to be able to put you in a significantly better position than you were before. So I think that's a very important piece to pull out of this conversation. One term I want to touch on, then I want to kind of go back and I want to dig into some of your history. Is the term PEO, because we mentioned Tryon a little bit earlier. Tryon is PEO, having that benefits, you know, background, and even working in financial services. But PEO, people hear this term, you know, a new agent coming into the business, they hear that term. What does PEO mean? What is that?
Well, currently itself, PEO stands for Professional Employer Organization. They are a company or a network, we'll call it a company. They are, picture yourself, let's say 100-person company. You'll get hired. There's going to be an HR person you'll sit with. It could be one, it could be 2, 3 people. They're going to hire, they're going to do the onboarding. They're the ones who, when you fill out the resume, they may interview you. They're going to do your paperwork. Okay, you decide to get employed by them. They decide they're going to hire you. Okay, they're going to set you up with your benefits. Okay, you can enroll right away with your health insurance for your family. Take care of those, the hiring and sometimes the firing. But again, where they're missing is the legal background, the legal knowledge of all the latest compliance laws. Maybe if they're pre-taxing benefits, do you know there's a certain document that you have to annually file? That document has to be precise on some things as far as how many people you have, the date that you're going to allow to do this. Make sure that nobody enrolls in this unless they have 4 special conditions: marriage, divorce, birth, or death. You know, all these little things. But see, Tryon themselves, they are, picture now having an HR. You could be a 3-person group, Rob. Picture yourself now, you have a whole staff, a team that does that for you. While you do what it is that you do. You're a plumber. I just want a plumber. I just want to fix pipes and sinks and install this and that. I don't know nothing about filing my taxes quarterly, doing this and that. Oh, a handbook? What's that? You know, no, you got a team. And like I said, they have a team of 5 attorneys. And I'm talking, we talking seasoned Johnny Cochran level attorneys. We ain't talking about Joe who just got out of, you know, with the plaid tie and this and that, the food stains on his shirt. We ain't talking about what them guys. We talking about the Johnny Cochran type attorneys on staff at full time. So that everything, the document, all this stuff, you have a team of attorneys behind you now. So yes, you may have hired Sue, but they're going to do the background check. Okay, they're going to dig out that, oh, you know, she's got a record for larceny, assault, this and that. Oh, by the way, she done sued 3 to 4 different companies. So what you thought was a great person would be like, sorry, Sue, we can't hire you for whatever reason. Okay, they keep you as best they can compliant with all the laws, the regulations, the regulatory. So they're like a HR. They're being on your staff without being on your payroll.
Yeah.
Okay. And you got a whole team. Right. And some people, just like we've said about disability, a lot of people say, well, I don't know if I can afford that. No, you cannot afford not to. Just like we tell people about disability. Now, disability, and not to get on my soapbox about disability, but again, like we told a bunch of teachers, and this is another thing that dropped in my spirit just a few years ago, in fact, a charter school that Kareem and I take care of, we were speaking to them at their annual meeting, you know, and I said, how many people in this room, this is about 150 staff. I said, how many people in here have a cell phone? You know, silly question. Of course, everybody raised their hand. I said, how many people have insurance on that phone? Close to half raised their hand. I said, how many of you have your paycheck insured? And everybody looked like, what? Huh? And then I said, disability. Disability. Now, about a third, barely. I said, did you know that the very most important insurance, one of the most important insurance you can buy is disability. That because it insures your paycheck, which is the most valuable asset that we all own. The food you eat, the roof over your head, the car you drive, and everything you enjoy in between is a result of that paycheck. You don't believe me? Take that paycheck away and let's see if that ain't a fast way for you to lose weight. Okay, see if you don't get cold when they shut your gas off. Okay, maybe you in Virginia, so maybe you won't get as cold. But trust me,
when Detroit it get cold, all right.
You know, to pay that gas bill in Michigan,
Right.
you might say throw your nose up at them in June, July, and August. But shoot, December, we know to pay that gas bill. Okay,
Right.
And so. But you take that, and COVID should have taught us a lot. How many people all of a sudden you got sick or hurt? Didn't have disability. A lot of people lost homes. We ain't gonna talk about cars repossessed. Shoot, cell phone, you know, you 1 minute late on that bill, they cut you off. They hit the button on you and that phone is dead. Food, I mean, the whole nine. Yeah. And well, don't have it, you know, it's bad enough for any single person, but don't be a man that's got a wife and children. And if you are married, you know that.
I know
don't get that look like
four boys. I know.
Oh, okay. Boy, and they ain't teenagers, are they?
I got one. Well, actually, I got two teenagers because I got one turned 13. I got one who's 20. He's in college.
That's all right. I remember being 13. I'd eat 5 pork chops in the city. My mother, and was this thin, okay?
Snacks is the
gain
word.
a pound. That's all right. You just keep on working, Rod. I ain't got to worry about you quitting nothing.
I'm not retiring no time soon.
No, I know where to find you, okay? So, but
hey,
like
look,
I said,
I want to take a minute and just kind of transition because, I mean, look, already, and for those who listen, look, Gerald's a wealth of knowledge, you know, and what I appreciate is not just a wealth of knowledge in one category, but a wealth of knowledge in several areas, you know, a very well-rounded professional and really understands this space and understands how to navigate in it. But you didn't start there. You didn't start where you are right now. I want to go back, but I want to go way back, because when you speak now, you speak with a lot of passion, a lot of intensity as it pertains to how you help people inside of this business. But tell me something. When you were 8, 9 years old, what was 8, 9-year-old Gerald Scruggs dreaming of?
Being all we wanted to do was play baseball. All we wanted, girls wasn't even nowhere in the picture. In fact, I never forget there was a family moved next door. They had a cute little girl. She might be a year or two younger than mine. And I remember playing by myself because I had a sister. My sister's like 5 years younger. And I remember not liking her because I wanted a brother. Because all my buddies had brothers. I had a sister. I ain't nobody to play baseball with me or catch. So, and I never forget to say her calling my grandmother, because my grandmother watched us when my parents went to work. Said, "Can your little boy play with my little?" And I heard that, and I took off running. It's like, I ain't gonna play with no girl. So 8, 9 years old, Gerald was baseball. Let's fast forward a little bit to 13 years old. I still kind of got my money. Again, a little different generation. It wasn't as, I don't like to use this term, but fast as it was then, or as assertive as it was there then. And so I still wasn't really thinking about no girl. I just wanted to play baseball. And out the blue, my father came, he said, Jerry, the family calls me Jerry. I said, Jerry, you got a game this Saturday? I said, matter of fact, no, we don't, Dad. He said, good, you coming to work with me. Now, granted, there was no prior conversation. It's not like we've been talking about this. It's not like I expressed a desire. I knew my father went to work. My mother was a registered nurse. My father was a partner in a large service station just outside on the outskirts of downtown Detroit. In fact, one of the largest stations, we had 8 tow trucks. There was like 10 pumps, 4 service bays, 24/7, 365. Yes, I worked on Christmas and Thanksgiving. So like I said, Daddy came up and he said, you going to work with me this Saturday? And I'm kind of perplexed. And I'm like, okay. I didn't put a resistance, but then I'm thinking, man, I want to play with my friends. So I went to work with Daddy. It was adventurous. I learned how to pump gas. I'm running around like a chicken, my head cut off. That's all I know how to do. So that's all I did, while the other guys, you know, they were fixing people's tires, changing the oil, going on towing cars. And I'm like, I'd like to do that, but I was happy just pumping gas. So finally, after 1 week ride, payday, I got a check for $35
Uh-oh.
Brother, it was like hitting a crack pipe. I was hooked. I was the Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry of my day. Yeah. 13 years old with $35 in 1968, 69, when gas is like 20 cents a gallon. You know, bread was a quarter. Oh. Shit. I'm like, I go home to my boys, I have my little knot, I went and broke a 10 with 10 singles, so it looked like I had a real roll. Come on, guys, I'm buying popcorn, ice cream for everybody, it's like, but I was hooked in. I started working and but the bigger thing that I did not know it was, I saw my father in a whole different light. Now at home, he's just daddy. Like they said about Jesus. Oh, that's just a carpenter's boy. Yeah. And I just saw him as daddy. My father, if you knew him, is a very nice, affable guy, country boy. Daddy, he was a typical country boy scenario. He was the second oldest of 9 children. They had in Alabama probably about 85 to 100 acres. And my father, being one of the oldest, had to drop out of school to help the family take care of the land. So I don't think daddy went past 10th grade. But my father had work ethic like I have never seen to this day in my life. That's where I learned it from. So he took me to work. And the respect my father had from, I'm talking major, because like I said, this is a large service station. People who became prominent judges, politicians, business owners, the head of the UAW, the national president of UAW, knew my father, loved him. I seen him walk up to my father and just give him $50, $100 just for no reason, just because he was standing there. And I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, it was like he was the godfather. People were just paying homage to him. And I'm like, damn, is this daddy? He got, and my father, you see, just meek and humble, and had a laugh that was so indistinguishable. Everybody loved him. That's how he got the nickname Buddy, because he was everybody's buddy. Everybody loved him. And I started seeing my father in a different light. So now I'm working again. I'm thinking, okay, and then that's how I bought my first car. Then I got in the groove, and then of course I got 16. I got my license, so I'm gonna shift over. I'm gonna learn how to drive the tow truck. So now, of course, what happened? Paycheck went up. So shoot, I make it through $300-400 a week. Again, Rob, I'm 16. So, brother, it was the equivalent like slinging drugs today.
This is like early 70s at this point, right? It's early 70s. This early 70s at 16.
Yeah, early 70s.
Yeah.
And then I started college, graduate school, 73, went to college. But on summertime, shoot, I was right back. I couldn't wait to get out in April. I went back to working. And then what happened then, now, summer, we get a call, go open up the doors. There's a prominent doctor. There was an exclusive area in downtown Detroit, tall high-rise condominiums. This doctor had locked the keys out of his car, and he had an emergency call to do surgery. So we got a call, go here. I went, open up the key. So the man, I was trying to be nice, so I can get my usual $1 or $2 tip. The man gave me a $5 tip, and he gave me a joint. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, thank you. So now I got some time. I'm going to cruise downtown by Blue Cross. So I go look at the girls coming out at lunch. Let me try this joint out. And then they called me and they said, Gerald, you got a jack on your truck? I said, yeah. Okay, go to 230 East Grand River. We got a flat tire need to be changing. I go and change the guy's flat tire. All this happened the same day. And come to find out the guy he was the owner of a fur company. So I'm trying to be nice, giving him all my yes, sir, this book, speaking all the proper Queen's English. And he said, how would you like to work for me? And I look up at him. I'm changing out and change time. Huh? He said, how would you like to work? He said, I need a driver. And he said, I really like your mannerisms. And the man could have been in the mafia. All right, sure. I'm all right. Yeah, I work for you. Didn't know what the man did. I didn't think to ask the 30 questions. And I come back to the station. I said, Daddy, the guy offered me a job. I got a new job starting Monday. He's like, well, how you do that? So then I switched over and I started working for a company. And he paid for my college tuition. I never went back to college to become a lawyer. And he paid for my schooling and ended up sending me to New York. And I began in pattern design, which allowed me, then I later became a man through years training and steadily expanding my knowledge. I became a master furrier. And eventually at the top of my game, I was only the 4th known master furrier, black master furrier in the country. And where I could custom design, take from scratch something you wanted, conceptualize it, put it on paper, transfer it to the pattern, transfer it to real life, make a cloth pattern. Then we transfer that, make it a mink coat, fast coat, raccoon, sable, beaver, coyote, whatever you wanted.
Wow.
Yeah, so I did that for 20 years. And then, unfortunately, ceremoniously, I had got my own business.
I mean, that's a career specialty in and of itself. You know, that's
it was. And I had a it was good.
Artisan,
in touch with a lot of who's who of Detroit.
Yeah.
And we talking getting paid. I'm getting invited to all the major events. And it's like, it was good time. So anyway, then I left Macy's after I left the wholesale company. I went to start working in Macy's. They recruited me. It's Macy's now, but it used to be Hudson's. Back in the day, it started with Gerald Hudson's downtown. Okay. And so I was working there. They recruited me. And from there, I left and started my own company because a lot of clients, in fact, a Jewish lady who I waited on one day, she didn't like the price that Hudson's gave them. I told her, well, this is going to be $4,000. So she pulled me to the side. She said, well, do you have your own company? I said, well, no, ma'am. I said, I've been thinking about it. She said, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you start your own company? You work on this coat for me, and I'll give you $3,000. So as opposed to $4,500 to Hudson's, and that was where, and Rod, I've been thinking about it for a year, but that was it. And I started putting in motion, how can I buy a machine? I need to get supplies. I got to make connections. I already knew the people in New York to get stuff wholesale. And she was my first client. And from there, that took off. Then unfortunately, unceremoniously, my ex-wife had a boyfriend I didn't know about. And this Negro stole a bunch of my clients' coats. Of course, I got blamed for it because they were in my possession. And I was convicted of a felony of larceny by conversion. Did not do any jail time, but I got 3 years probation. But unfortunately, I had a felony hanging over my head for 28 years, which restricted me in certain circles from getting licenses. I could never open my own company because, in Michigan, you can't have one. And then even several times I tried to get contracted with certain insurance companies, and that came up. Some companies would let me in, some wouldn't. And I can't say, thank God, last June, I got it expunged after 28 years. And when that happened, Rod, I broke down crying like a baby, man. I couldn't.
Look at God.
My daddy. It wasn't the relief that came back and give me a chill now just thinking about it that day. No longer can I now have to start getting an anxiety attack, which I don't even get anxious. When that question comes, have you been convicted? So, like I said, I love that business, but unfortunately it came to that end. And before that, I was a purchasing. Then after that, then that came good. Before I got into insurance, I skip one. I was a purchasing manager in the automotive industry after I left working downtown. After all of that stuff, the felony stuff happened, and that's when I started in the automotive business. And then I worked there for 8 years, again, a purchasing manager. So, since you're the guy that everybody got to come to, I'm controlling a $50 million budget. My clients giving me sweets tickets to the Pistons game. We ain't eating no hot dogs and hamburger. We eat fettuccine Alfredo with shrimp and lobster, okay? Being served to you, yeah. The hot dogs and the ham, that was the peasants I eat.
Y'all got warm cookies.
You're right, exactly. Bathroom 2 feet away from you. And so unfortunately from there, then I got laid off. When I went to take my daughter moved from Alabama into Auburn, took her, transferred her over. I came back to work on a Friday. Now, why I did that, I don't know. Usually come back on a Monday. And so anyway, when I came back to work, end of the day, I'm going to wash out my coffee cup, use the bathroom, boom, see y'all, I'm out. Then the HR guy, he said, Gerald, can I see you in the conference room? And I'm like, man, it's 5 to 4. I know you're not holding a manager's meeting on Friday at 5 to 4 because Tuesday's our regular day. It's like, I'm ready to get out of here. And I felt like a scene from The Godfather. I go in here and there's nobody but me and him. I'm like, okay, where are all the other managers at? I'm looking around. Like I said, if it was a Godfather movie, that would have been a hit. They would have took me out, like in Goodfellas. Bam, I've been gone. And then he slides his folder across the table to me. And I open it up, says you are being indefinitely laid off. I'm like, what? You can't lay me off, And so that's when I was laid off. And then after about 6 months of that, then that's when I went to a job fair at the Marriott Hotel in Troy and met, in fact, Kareem's and I both mentor Bill Hill, who started me in the insurance industry. So
wow,
that took me to that road.
wow.
Here we are. And that's the short version.
right. Coming from all types of people, we come from all different types of backgrounds,
Right.
and where I want to just kind of commend you, just take a minute and commend you, is that even in the ebbs and flows of your career path, you didn't let anything obstruct you.
Right.
You continue to move forward, continue to climb, and continue to move to move that was going to take you towards your goal, where you wanted to go and do what you want to do for your family. I want to talk about, so take me to when you first got started. Let's say you went to the interview, you started with the firm. What was it that made you say, I think I could do this?
Funny you say that, because at the time, now my former wife, she was an investigator for the state of Michigan, Civil Rights Department. She had a slip and fall accident prior to this, and probably barely a year. And so she was disabled, and she was getting disability. And then her and her fellow coworkers told her, she said, watch, even though we have lifetime long-term care, they're going to cut you off after 12 months. And sure enough, on the exact 12th month, she get a letter the next day, you're being discontinued. In spite of her having 3 letters from 3 of the top pain management specialists in the country that said this woman cannot work. They refused to pay disability. So of course we had to sue them. But even though you win that, which we did, that's years down the line. In the meantime, we still got to eat. Lights got to go on, gas, light, the whole 9. And in the midst of that, we had just adopted 2 grandchildren who were 6 and 3 years old, who came here with all kinds of sociological issues. It was a nightmare. And it's like, wow. And so anyway, they said, okay, she can stay off on get her health, get the check, but Gerald, you got to go to work. And I had to be taking her to physical therapy 3 times a week, to take one of the children to school, the other one started preschool. And then they said, so one of my job fair listings they gave me was go to a job fair, the hotel, Marriott Hotel. And I walk in, nothing but insurance people. And I'm getting all these things in the mail. And I told my wife at the time, I said, I don't know if God trying to tell me something. Why is it all this stuff about insurance keep popping up? I'm getting my emails all of a sudden, ads in the paper. I open up a magazine and they talk about insurance, and I'm already hating it with a passion because y'all stopped that $3,000 a month check. So I'm mad.
Right.
And then I go all the way around. I get to about, if you picture a clock, I'm probably about 3/4 away. It's 4 o'clock. Distinguished Black gentleman, the only Black gentleman in the room, and Mr. Bill Hill. God bless him to this day. I love a brother. Him and his wife, Marlene. And he said he saw me come in the door. Now, this is a big conference room. He said he saw me come in the door and was packing up his stuff, but he said he waited for me to come around. So I went around the spiel, and the guys all promising you can do 6-figure. I'm like, okay, that's nice. I said, I'd have made 6 figures. So they ain't like that's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for me. But I talked to Bill, and you come to find out, several people who on his staff who went or worked with him went to the same church I did. So I'm like, okay, you got a little credibility. And the brother was nicely dressed because, Bill, he's blue suit, black suit. That's it. Ain't nothing flamboyant about it, but classy, great classy guy. And so sharp, I'm looking at him, I'm checking, okay, you nicely dressed, nails clean, okay, brother, nice suit, well groomed, okay, you look like you might know. And then we're talking, and before it was over with, he said, how about if you come in for an interview? And then I came in, and of course, when I came, Kareem was sitting there. And so he hooked me up with Kareem, and we liked that instantly. If it was a boy and girl, you could say love at first sight. But it was bro love at first sight, So we hooked up, and like I said, some of the people I started meeting happened to we all went to the same church, and it was good. It made me feel comfortable. And then we got to going. It's like, okay, and we had the city of Detroit, police department, fire department, and Detroit Board of Education. So on any given day, Rod, and we had 24/7 access, you had say easy 50,000 people at your disposal of. So as a manager, if you agent come back to you talking about I couldn't make any money, it's like it was truly your fault.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got a I don't know how this came about. I'm just driving down the street one day, show you how wide open this was, like the Wild Wild West. I look over and I see there's a water main break. I see a water crew truck. It's 3 trucks, about 10 guys standing over there. The water's going. They got their high boots on. I parked my car, and I'm a young kid. I was intelligently ignorant. I wouldn't know you wasn't supposed to do that. Okay, as Brian was saying. I had my little car. Hi, hey guys, I just want to give you my car. I'm Gerald Scruggs with Colonial Life. Colonial? Man, I've been looking for somebody. Man, I ain't talked to my agent in 4 years. He said, can you help me with such? I've been trying to get some life insurance. I'm like, oh yeah. So I helped him with a claim. He got, a check for a couple grand coming. We sitting up there in his truck. Well,
water just going all over.
And we talk about paper apps now. That was pre-computer. Paper. I'm writing. I can't write fast enough. And then his buddy, it was like a truck wagon today. Then the guys was coming up one by one. It was a crew of 10. And then the supervisor pulled up. I'm like, oh shit, we in trouble now. Then the supervisor, can you help me too? And then they said, tell you what, you need to come to our plant. Now, I'll meet you at the gate at 5 o'clock in the morning. So we have guys that they come hang out at 5 in the morning to 7. They talking stuff, playing dominoes, cards, talking about what they did the night before, telling lies. You know how they go before they hit the street. And so they gave me carte blanche to now come to what they call the pit to hang out with the guys. And so stuff was just coming left and right. And next thing I knew, I had a bunch of clients. I didn't know how. And so and then when school started, I started within the schools and I would hold a luncheon. And I was introduced to him by way of Kareem, and Kareem will laugh, tell you about this. I saw the first version of a luncheon. He had this white guy. They had a bag from Ponderosa with 32 wings in it, a 22-ounce pop. I'm like, what the hell is that? You call that a luncheon? And now it's about 60 people to school. I think 4 people came down. Now, teachers, if you know them, they like Indians. They'll always send a scout down to check you out. What he look like, what the room look like, what kind of food he got.
What kind of food they got, right?
Now, my mother, before she became a nurse, used to own a restaurant. And my mother was big on presentations, everything. So I had the tablecloth, had 3 kinds, had the fried chicken, we had sandwiches, we had fruit, we had vegetable, sprinkled mints on the table, had a big floral centerpiece. And I had the slips at the table at the front door where you had to sign in. So they sent one down. Then next day she went back and came back with about 25 teachers, and they all lined up. I said, wait a minute, before you come in, everybody fill out that little slip. And they was filling it out, setting appointments right then and there. And then I was booked for the whole week, 8 hours, like I worked there. And, I probably wrote about $25,000 of business, made 5, 6, 7 grand. And I'm like, shoot, wash, rinse, repeat. Let me go to the next school to try this out. Same thing. And then that became the formula. And it would pass down from every agent that came after. That was the mantra. If you're going to school, this is what you must do.
That's what you do.
And it was something that was just born out of, let me try this, let me try that. And then that came from, like I said, even while this was going on, I only still was to focus on worksite benefits, right to a disability life, cancer, accident. That's it. But too many people were still coming to me, Gerald, my husband, he had diabetes. Can you help him? And I'm like, sorry, Colonial, you could do an individual life, but it was fully underwritten. So most people would, even if you're in fair health, you wouldn't get past the health questions. And so it was like, forget about it. And then I started learning later about individual companies that I could get contracted with. Ones that did for special needs, one that would take diabetes and one that wouldn't. One, even if you had a heart attack, then there was guaranteed issues. So I started now expanding because, again, I think about all the people that I could not help, and it really felt sad in my spirit inside, again, not to mention the money I lost too, but then that just kept growing. And then, like I said, it's about evolving and changing and reinventing yourself. And that's how I got to, the spot I'm in now, because had you come 10 years ago, you started talking about retirement, man, get out of my face. I said, I got somebody. You wanted something? I'll hang up from you, call my buddy, Joe, Rod, here's his phone number, call him, great guy. He got some money, he want this, take care of him. I already did the disability. My buddy would call you and take care of you. Now I take care of you. Like I said, because it's a passion for me now. Like I said, when I did the IUF for my granddaughter, generational wealth, and that thing just exploded in me. I could hear it in both ears. It was like if I had a headset on. And so that's my mission now. And then taking care of companies, from a different perspective. I'll still give you a worksite supplemental, but we looking at, let's first and foremost, the first thing, like my grandfather said about the horse pulling the wagon, is that PEO, coming in with the trying from the PEO perspective. Health insurance, payroll, health insurance, your workman's comp. Can we get you pricing? Can we get you set up, have some lawyers in your background? Do you know how to do background investigations? We can do audits for you when, you know, these women who got these baby daddy on the health insurance, internal dependent verification. We would help you do that to save companies hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because all these people you had, y'all paying for health insurance on kids that live down the street somewhere. It's not legitimate. You know, they ain't even mine. You know, we got Ray and Pookie living in the house. You paying for them. You know, so it's the whole dynamic thing. So again, the holistic approach. Still in my back pocket, but now this has come to the forefront. This is something that's really a passion for me, and not to mention mentoring and helping any young agent I can. But like you say, when you come in, you can't come in doing the whole thing. It took me 20 years to get to this spot. Right. You know, trust, because like I said, it was kind of there, but retirement, you know, and especially when you figure, I didn't like an aspect because at the time when I started, I needed money fast. I had a wife who was disabled. We got, like I said, a 6 and a 3-year-old grandchild. I got little babies. I used to be out at the DPW yard at 5 o'clock in the morning, sit with these guys for 2 hours, then go home. Now, I lived in the suburb, which is like 25 miles away, go home, get fixed breakfast, take the 6-year-old to drive, drop the 3-year-old off, then come back to work, then come back home at 3 o'clock to pick up the kids, then take my wife to PT 3 times a week, and then come home, do my paperwork, and start all over again tomorrow and do it again.
People got excuses out here. Come on.
No, I'm sorry. Y'all talking to the wrong person, okay? Right. But while I was doing it, I was having fun. And then when I started seeing them checks grow, we ain't talked about renewals kicked in
That's
yet.
A motivator, right?
We ain't talking about renewals kicked in yet. I'm like, I even called Kareem one day. He'll tell you. I called him one day. I was just having a good day ride. It was just something all over. And I'm riding music, blasting, top over, windows down. And I had to call, I said, Kareem, are you sure this stuff we doing is legal? Because this is too much fun, man. You know, you having fun, you helping people, you making money. And that was even before in my first year. I didn't know nothing about the trips because Kareem's mother, Pat, she said, Jerry, you on the target to make the trip. What trip? And I ain't know about no trips, you know, but that's standard, you know, in the insurance industry. Yeah. And in 6 months' time, I qualified, and they had never had nobody do that in such a short time. Qualified, I blew it out the water, and I was the top rookie of the year. Amazing. And I never forget while we in the water in the St. Thomas, you know, the boat took us to their private island. We in the water, you know, the guys in a tuxedo, sleeves and stuff, standing in the water, serving us drinks. And my ex-wife, she said, she looked me in the face, almost calling me, said, whatever you do, don't you ever quit this job. I said, don't worry, I'm still here. She ain't, but I ain't.
But you are, right. No, I love it. So
I took your advice. I'm still here.
I'm still there. That's right.
And not going anywhere, because even my wife now to retire, she said, so when are you going to retire? I'm like, baby, I like what I do.
It's kind of like for what, right?
Right, why?
It's like,
you know, I don't, you know, even if I knitted and golfed and gardened, you can only do so much of that. I mean, and I like the flexibility of our schedule. I ain't got the point, you know, the corporate days. I remember back when I was in corporate, you know how many times you lying, the fake sick. Rod, I won't be able to come in today. I think I got the flu, or your Uncle Roy died. He must have died about 4 times, you know, so... You know, all that crazy stuff, you know, and get mad when you see that same paycheck on Friday. You would think you'd be happy because you get paid, but then you get the check and it's like, this the same damn check it's been for the last 3-4 years. And I'm working my butt off, getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, putting up with we ain't gonna talk about the BS.
Working for somebody else's dream.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. Like they said, if you're not making your own dream, you are making one for somebody else. And so, like I said, when I started this, it was like, oh, we used to joke, say that's a cuss word to say, you know, I'm gonna make you go get a job, Rod, if you don't act right. Right. Yeah. Oh, please, anything but that. Tie me to the tree, beat me, but don't make me get a job, please.
That's the thing that people have to understand about this industry, though, and working in this space is that, you know, if you're not inside of the business, you don't really understand that it doesn't even feel like you're really working. No. A lot of the time. You can feel a little bit guilty because you are working, but I'm making this for doing this.
Right. And we can look at ourselves in the mirror because when we go home, it's like, I helped somebody today. One of the greatest feelings in the world when I got my first client who called me back crying. She said, Miss Scruggs, one thing, and she bust out. I said, Miss John, what's wrong? You okay? She said, my husband was diagnosed with cancer, and I remember I didn't want to get that cancer policy, and you gave it to me, and we just got a check today for $50-something thousand, and now all our bills are taken care of. Then she wrote the president of the company, and then I got a call from him, and it's like, whoa,
you talking
this
about
is why we do what we do. You know,
people keep their house,
right?
You know,
exactly, and that's huge. And so, and then needs to say, then that, as I told some young people, I said, this is how you build your business, because now I don't, I get these lead companies calling me all the time. I said, man, I ain't buying no leads. I said, I got people calling me. I ain't trying to brag or nothing, but it's just a fact. It's been that way for about 10 years. And that started by, like I said, my father was in the service business. I saw how my father took care of people. My mother was a registered nurse. So serving is definitely in her heart. And that was the background I came from. And this is how I was raised, of what you do right by people. And I just transferred that subconsciously to my business, and clients will be asking me, hey, I ain't seen my agent in 3-4 years, man. I like the way you take care of business. Can you be my agent? Sure. And I tell them, okay, put my phone. I'm gonna give you a card, but get the card. Put my phone number in your phone right up there with the ladies. I would tell them right up there with your doctor and your hairdresser, your two most important people. Okay? And the guys, I tell your doctor and your barber. Okay,
that's it. That's it.
You have some question, call me. And that's what happened. And then they would tell their friends and relatives, and like I said, calls and stuff started, coming in. And then when I started really expanding to now, got to the concierge there, where there's nothing that anybody wants in the insurance industry I cannot do for you.
You're gonna make sure
either personally or I can pick up a phone. I got somebody who can take care of that for you.
I love it. I love it. Just connecting dots. Let me ask a question. So at this stage in the career, 20 plus years, you
21 this month, as a matter of fact.
21 this month.
This month, yeah.
You've been on the trips, you made the money, you've had the lifestyle, you've experienced what it is, you built the book, got the renewals. What keeps you motivated now?
Like I said, I guess this is part about the, evolving and changing yourself. Because again, I still work site, it's in my blood. I don't do it as much, but it's still in my back pocket. It's not uncommon for my phone to ring or get an email or get a text message from a longtime client or a client who's referred to somebody, hey, Gerald, I need this and that, or one of the groups that Kareem and I take care of. But this new, like I said, now helping business owners from the PE perspective, let's look at the part that nobody's really addressing and looking at, especially with the changing dynamics of the way the work cycle, and COVID really helped sped this up, changing today. And then, like I said, the IUL, we're talking about tax-free, showing people how to do tax-free income and then create generational wealth. That came about with my granddaughter when I just did that for her. And like I said, when I'm going down the line, okay, she going this to that age, and I saw 48, $1.2 million. I'm like, damn, we just created generational wealth.
This is something.
Right. And it's like, okay, so that's something new. And I'm still, I know a pretty good amount, but I'm a learning junkie. I love learning stuff. Yeah. By the way, don't be surprised when I call you just to pick your brain too. So, and I've already said
vice versa. I'm like you. I'm calling people, like I'm calling Kareem, hey, what can you tell me about this?
Yeah, and exactly. And then, I said, in my colonial time, if I got to back up one little thing, when Kareem told about the story about he called him Bobby Blake in California.
Yes.
When we lost, in the midst of my colonial days, doing good, we lost Detroit Public Schools. New emergency manager come in, he kick everybody out, bring in all his buddies with no bid contracts. So now all of a sudden, I probably lost about $150,000, $175,000, because that's where most of my money's coming from. And then I'm newly married, and my wife looked at me, and she just retired. What we gonna do now? I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. And I dabbled a little bit in trying to do the retirement. I lived off a couple months because I was able to go back to the people I knew. But it, like they say, a shirt that you put on just didn't feel right. Like a suit you bought off the rack versus your tailor-made. It just didn't fit right. And so my buddy in California, I had already told him the story because the way the stuff happened was all messy. And I called him kind of crying on his shoulder. And then he called me 2 weeks later. He said, Gerald, he said, how'd you like to come to California? I said, well, I've been meaning to come out there and visit y'all. He said, no, I ain't talking about to visit. He said, how would you like to be over to come out here and work? He said, we need a public sector manager to oversee the service with the Los Angeles County School District, which, by the way, is the #2 school district in the country, barely behind New York. They had, it was like 3,800 schools, and we thought we were in heaven in Detroit. We had 300. We just, like I said, we in Detroit, we thought we was in this bill called the High Cotton. We had 300 schools. Yeah, I got that much on one block, and they wanted me to come out, and I was the head over there. What? So, like the Beverly Hills, loaded up the truck, and I moved to Beverly Hills. And I headed out there.
Sound like you was getting some override.
And I was out there for almost 4 years, but it was great because a lot of the guys I knew from, we would meet up on the annual trips. But now I'm working with these guys, and I'm their managers. And at one time, we used to pick their brain about how you guys doing this, And my office was right on Long Beach Boulevard. I'm looking right at the Pacific Ocean. The Grand Prix that annually comes to Long Beach, my office, we look right down on the whole Grand Prix. We get invited to red carpet things, and the people out there treated me like gold. I could not have asked for complete strangers to take me in the way they did. And unfortunately, my wife's mother was in her 90s at the time, and her health was, and my wife was like, we need to go back to it. I said, well, baby, you got 7 brothers and sisters. Can't they take care of mama? I could have won the battle and lost the war, Rod, but I came back kicking and screaming. But that was a wonderful, I rate that as one of the greatest adventures. First of all, just driving for 3.5 days in California. One thing I never do is go through the mountains in Colorado ever again. I was approaching the mountains, and I'm up here, my wife called me every minute to check in. I'm like, baby, you don't see these mountains? They all pretty, man. Look at God. I've seen the snow cap. I'm trying to drive and take pictures and da-da-da. Then I got my ass up in the mountains. Oh, Rod, Jesus. I'm talking about these things got an incline. I don't even know, that might have been 45 degrees. Wow. And it's snow and ice on the road. I got my foot on the brakes. The car is still going 75 down. Then you got to turn at the bottom. This thing has what they call escape ramps, where off the road, it's a steep incline. Like if a truck is a runaway truck, it hits this hill, so gravity will take over and keep it from, stop. That's how it would stop it. And I'm seeing this, and I'm like, what the hell? And I just knew, okay, man, coast out. And I'm just, Lord, that if the guy get drunk and you say, I'll never do this again, that's like, Lord, if you just let me get these, I will never come back up here again. And then I parked at the motel for the night, and I asked the girl, I said, how many more miles, how many more hours I'll be through? I hope she said half an hour. She said about another 4 hours. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, here we go again. So, but once I got out, then we got the desert in Nevada, then I hit California. So that was before, then I came back, and that was when I expanded, became the broker with in the industry.
Love it. Hey, Gerald, you got some amazing stories, about your career. No,
I can't make this up, Rob.
I'm loving this conversation. I got a couple more questions for you.
Sure. Okay.
First, how do you think, if in any way, having a license, working in this industry has changed you as a person?
Ooh, good question. I don't think too much it changes a person, because, okay, a good buddy of mine who's in Texas, who our mothers were friends before we were born. So I can say I've known him 60 plus years. The person you see now, this is still my personality, but the insurance industry allowed me to really cultivate and let me fully blossom, if you could use that word. Because corporate, you still got them, they want a little of your talents. I admire your smarts, but Rod, don't get too smart, especially when you got people above your supervisors who insecure about themselves. I like you as a worker, but don't be too smart. I'm not above stealing your ideas. Take them to the president. Look what I did. Wife and I just saw a show on it last night. So there was that stuff, the backstabbing, hiding of paperwork, or they got a message from you to do something, and then you get in the manager's meeting. Gerald didn't tell me to do that. And I'm like, what? Yes, I did. And that taught me a good lesson when I learned about learning true meaning of CYA, cover your ass. Mm-hmm. I didn't do nothing. It didn't get on paper. You couldn't walk in my office no longer and say, Gerald, if you told me you needed an ink pen, write up a purchase order, date it, sign it. So if you come back, so when come in, and if it ain't right, or if you doing something, ain't got no business with something, you will never be able to track it back to me. Everything was either email or you must do it. So they taught me that about covering my behind, because I got bit too many times. I'm trying to be the nice, honest guy. I'm sweet, loving, huggy. Oh, they ain't gonna do a
different environment.
Believe that if you want to, but it changed. I would say, like I said, it made me blossom, come out what I already was in me. Because, like I said, my parents, God bless their soul, mama registered, daddy was, everybody loved them, and inherited a lot from them. Then learning the spirit of servitude, taking care of people, because both of them were in the service industry.
Yes.
And one for another, my mother saving lives. She was an operating room nurse, and my daddy owned a gas station. That didn't sound glamorous, but I learned so much about the things of life. Because here I am, a 13-year-old kid. I'm listening to all these grown men. We got blacks, we got the Southerners, we got the hillbillies, the rednecks, we got the Latinos, the Italian guy, the Greek guy. I'm listening to all these grown men stories, and it's stuff going on my head. It sounded funny and stupid to me, but little did I know I was seeing myself in my own situation in the future about 10 years. And when that happened, I'm like, where have I seen this movie before? And I'm like, okay, this was on. So some things I learned what to do so that wouldn't happen to me. But again, a lot of that shaped me, but this allowed me to fully be myself, set my own schedule. I don't have to answer to nobody my clients, of course, but, allow me to truly feel free and help people, get paid nicely for it, and do what I want to do the things, like I say, one of my major hobbies I like is traveling. So it affords me not only the time, but the money to be able to do it. So
there you go. So last question.
Okay.
What would you tell someone who is maybe new to the industry, maybe considering getting into the industry, especially now? I think it's interesting what you mentioned at the beginning of the conversation and throughout, as far as the focus on financial education now and creating generational wealth. But for somebody who's entering the business brand new, getting started, or maybe they're on the fence, what would you tell them about entering this business, entering the financial services and insurance industry?
Maintain always a service heart. You got to do what's right for the people. It's not about, if you do treat the people right, the money gonna come. If you coming in here with the hustler mentality, you in the wrong game, bro. You will not last. The business will eat you up, because there's your days. There's nobody who's in this business who hasn't quit about 5 times. Okay. Bill used to laugh at me. I come in the office and you had a couple agents didn't do what you wanted to do, and it was like, man, I don't want to be no manager. Take these people back. I just want to run by myself, do my thing. I ain't got time. He sat there and laughed at me. Then the next day, stuff turned over. Okay, we back again. It's kind of like a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. You love them, the next day, like, I'm getting a divorce, man.
Those 5 times can happen in the same week sometimes.
Right, exactly. And but you must have a servant's heart to take care of people. That's for whether you doing voluntary, whether it's life only, whether you in final expense, if it's financial services. Now, one thing again that turned me off to financial service, I hope nobody takes this the wrong way. I used to look at from the voluntary side, like I said, we going to schools. I could meet a teacher, never seen them in my life. Sit down, explain the products in 10 minutes, give them a couple stories, make them laugh a little bit, show them some options. I'll take that one. Bam, write them up, 30, 35 minutes, you made $200, $300, $400. Do that 10 times, you done made a couple of grand. Financial services, I meet you, you got 50, 100,000. I ain't meeting you in no 15 minutes. You signing over. That's a whole nother, that is a courtship, bruh. Okay.
Yes.
So, but luckily, a lot of my clients I have now, my foundation is the teachers I used to take care of for voluntary. So the trust factor wall has been knocked down. It ain't even there. So I'm able to call them and say, hey, so-and-so, I know you got this that retirement thing. There's something out here better you need to do about. IRS tax code 7702, which they just ratified December 2020. They changed the tax law. You can put as much money as you want to. Only thing is you got to qualify. It's a life policy. But the benefits, I said, I can show you some illustrations, give you some information on that. You got 15, 20 minutes? Yeah, come on back. And they see it and it's like, whoa, when can I get that, Gerald? Bingo. Boom. So. Boom. But again, that helps, and I'm gravitating and I'm paying for some programs and systems now that's going to get me to a whole nother level of net worth people. So I'm going to still have to tweak my game a little bit and get used to, okay, Gerald, you don't know all of these people. It's a little different, but you're still in that, but doing that same thing. So my character and my intent is still going to be there. Not non-malicious, of course. Yeah, I want to make money, but I still want to help these people because these are people I'm coming to who, let me explain to a problem that you may have. You got this annuity, you haven't been making any money, blah, 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 blah. You about to retire, you got some taxes. There's some options you have to get you out of that situation so you can tax on the seed, not on the harvest, and we can move you in a better position.
401ks right now.
It's been, word has it that 401ks is about to be extinct one day.
These 401ks, oh no,
Yeah, because I got a client. She said, Gerald, in the first year I had 200,000. I checked my statement, I only got 149. And you putting in $300 a pay. I said, Ms. Jones, do that math make sense to you? You putting money in, and you got less money than you had 9-10 months ago.
Think about it.
You don't need to be a Harvard professor, okay? You don't need a PhD from all the Ivy League schools.
Say the math ain't math.
Grasp that. So like I said, but I would tell them to find one thing and stick with that one. Don't try to, it's like eating an elephant. Don't try to get anything you're gonna do everything. It'll swallow you up.
Yeah. And
hope you and if you can, have some money in reserve by 3 good months before you start. So you got to do that but that's why I had to hit the ground running. Because like I said, the situation I was in when I met Bill, I was on food. We ended up on food stamps because that was part of, because my wife disabled, I was laid off and we had the grandkids. And another thing that motivated me, this lady we had, this European lady we had at the office, the Social Security, was so mean. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be humble. I ain't never asked for nobody nothing in my life. I was not taught that way. So I didn't want to be here, but I'm yes, ma'am, and her, and yes, ma'am, and her. And she fill this out. Handed the paper, snatched the paper, and I was raised that, oh, that was something you don't do. Right. Everything in me was holding the back, damn, just jumping over that table, and you'd have saw me on the news, bro. And that was my motivation when I got the job. I said, I got to make this money. When I get this certain amount of money, I can tell them, y'all can, you keep your food stamp. I don't need it no more, So that was a motivating factor for me to get off of that, because I said, if not, I'm end up killing this lady. I'm gonna catch a case, and we didn't want that to happen. So, but then, like I said, stuff started going good, and bam, it just took off from there. So,
absolutely. Hey, look, Mrs. Scruggs, thank you, sir. I appreciate the time. Please, let the people know, how can individuals get in contact with you. I know you're out in Detroit, Michigan, and I know folks can reach out to you pretty much from wherever they are.
Anywhere in the country. I got people in licenses and people all over the country. My office phone number is 248-562-6252. My cell phone number is 248-703-9186. My email is benefits, that's BENEFITS, solution, SOLUTION, singular, LLC @gmail.com. And that's benefits, plural, solution, singular, LLC @gmail.com.
There you go. And we got all your LinkedIn links and
oh yeah, and then that's on there. You can go find me on LinkedIn. We'll have it in
the video, and it'll be on the podcast, and the contact information will be on the screen. Yeah. I just want to say, thank you again for the wisdom, for the knowledge, for the amazing stories, in this conversation. It's been a pleasure. We've been mentioning Kareem throughout this interview. I'll be remiss if I don't give him a shout out. Kareem Cade, Great Lakes Benefits. He was the bridge, for you and I to get connected.
Yes.
And I tell you, I love people from Detroit, man. What up, though? Y'all,
right. With this cold, I'd rather have the warm weather. That's what about California, man. I got to spend a Christmas there in my shorts and stuff in December. In fact, there's one last thing I mentioned. When that day my buddy called me, he said, "Well, we're gonna fly you out here, Gerald," and it was January the 15th. I never forget that. I left Detroit. It was either 10 degrees and 8 inches of snow, or 8 inches of snow and 10 degrees. I forgot which one, but it was cold. Plane, they had to get the ice off the plane so we could take off. I landed at 12 noon in Long Beach, stepped off the plane. It was 82 degrees, January 15th, blue skies. I thought I was in the Bahamas. Rod, I was like, where do I sign? Yeah, y'all ain't got to wine and dime me. I don't need to see nothing. You ain't got to bribe me with nothing. Where do I sign? So
hey, listen, I ain't gonna tell you that it's warm all the time, but I will tell you that there have been some 70-degree weather days this winter. I will tell you that.
As my grandmother said, oh, hush.
I ain't saying this all the time. I'm not saying this all the time. Amen. But it's happening.
Yeah, more than here.
Hey, look, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rod.
For the conversation, for the information, for the education, for the knowledge, and for those who are listening. Hopefully you've heard something that has inspired you, that's motivated you, that's moved you, made you think to yourself, maybe wonder, question, tilt your head and think, you should get a license. Until the next time, take care.
Thanks again. Bye-bye.